Before we start with the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos. As the sun began to set, Jack found himself lost in the dense forest. He had been hiking all day and somehow managed to stray off the trail. The darkness was starting to close in around him and he knew he needed to find shelter for the night. He started to look for a clearing or a cave, anything that would offer some protection from the elements. But as he walked, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. Every rustle of the leaves and every snap of a twig made him spin around, expecting to see someone there. As the night grew darker, Jack's fear started to grow. He picked up his pace, trying to put as much distance between himself and whatever was stalking him. But no matter how fast he ran, the feeling of being followed never seemed to go away. Finally, he stumbled upon a small cabin deep in the woods. It was old and dilapidated, but it would have to do. He burst through the door and locked it behind him, panting and sweating, but as he turned to survey the room, he saw a figure standing in the corner, watching him with a sly grin on its face. It was then that Jack realized that he was not alone in the cabin. And whatever was stalking him had finally caught up. Jack's heart raced as he backed away from the figure in the corner. It was tall and thin, with long, gnarled fingers and piercing eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. "Who are you?" Jack stammered, trying to keep his voice from shaking. The figure didn't answer. It just continued to grin at him, as if it was enjoying his fear. Jack's mind raced as he tried to think of a way to escape. He knew he couldn't outrun the creature, but maybe he could find a weapon to defend himself with. He looked around the room frantically, trying to spot something he could use, but as he turned, he felt a sharp pain in the back of his neck. He stumbled and fell to the ground, the room spinning around him. As he lay there, drifting in and out of consciousness, he heard the creature whisper in his ear, "You should have stayed on the trail, Jack. Now you're mine." And then everything went black. When Jack woke up, he was tied to a chair in the center of the room. The creature was standing over him, its eyes fixed on him with an intensity that made Jack's blood run cold. "Why are you doing this?" Jack asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The creature cocked its head to the side, as if it was considering the question. "I've been watching you for a long time, Jack," it said, its voice dripping with malice. "I've seen the way you treat others, the way you use people and throw them away when you're done with them. You deserve to be punished." Jack's mind raced as he tried to think of a way to escape. He tugged at the ropes binding him to the chair, but they were too tight. He looked around the room for something he could use as a weapon, but there was nothing within reach. "Please, let me go," Jack begged. "I'll do anything you want. Just don't hurt me." The creature chuckled, a sound that sent shivers down Jack's spine. "It's too late for that, Jack. You should have thought about the consequences of your actions before you acted on them. Now, you will pay the price." And with that, the creature reached out and touched Jack's forehead, sending a jolt of pain through his body. Jack screamed as the creature began to drain the life from him, drawing out his soul and leaving nothing but an empty shell behind. As Jack's vision faded to black, he knew that he was doomed to spend the rest of eternity as the creature's plaything, forever trapped in the darkness of the forest. As the days passed, Jack found himself becoming more and more like the creature that had captured him. He lost all sense of humanity, consumed by the darkness that had taken over his soul. He spent his days stalking the forest, preying on unsuspecting travelers and dragging them back to the cabin to feed the creature's insatiable hunger. And as he watched the light fade from their eyes, he couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. He was no longer the victim, he was the predator. But even as he reveled in his newfound power, he knew deep down that he was nothing more than a pawn in the creature's game. He was trapped in the darkness, forever at the mercy of the monster that had claimed him as its own. And so he wandered the forest, a lost and lonely soul, condemned to spend eternity in the shadows. Despite his fear, Jack knew he couldn't let the creature win. He had to find a way to break free and end its reign of terror once and for all. He spent countless hours searching the cabin for a weakness, a way to defeat the monster. And finally, he found it. The creature had a small, glowing crystal embedded in its chest, and Jack realized that this was the source of its power. If he could destroy the crystal, he might be able to defeat the creature and escape. With renewed hope, Jack set to work gathering the materials he needed to build a bomb. It wasn't easy, but he was determined to succeed. Finally, after weeks of hard work, he had everything he needed. He snuck up behind the creature while it was sleeping and placed the bomb on its chest, right next to the glowing crystal. Then he ran. The explosion shook the entire cabin, and Jack was thrown to the ground. He waited, his heart pounding, to see what would happen next. When he opened his eyes, the creature was lying on the floor, its body mangled and twisted. The crystal was shattered, and the darkness that had consumed Jack was beginning to fade. He stumbled to his feet and made his way outside, where he collapsed in the grass and sobbed with relief. He had done it. He had defeated the creature and broken free of its grasp. And as the sun rose on a new day, Jack knew that he would never forget the horrors he had faced in the forest. But he also knew that he had overcome them, and that gave him the strength to keep moving forward, no matter what challenges lay ahead.